Eidain. Mudaf. So you can say the prayer of the two Eid or the two prayers of the two Eid. The chapter regarding that. Al-Imām Ash-Shawkāni says, rahimahullah, hiya raka'atan. That salatu, that prayer of the two Eid is raka'atan, 2 units of prayer. He said, rahimahullah, fil ula sab'u takbirat. Fil ula yani, he said raka'atan. Fil ula yani, fil raka'atil ula sab'u takbirat. In the first raka'ah of the prayer of the two Eid, we have sab'u takbirat, 7 takbir, to say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar 7 times. قبل القراءة, before we begin to recite, it says al-qira'ah, meaning before the recitation of both Fatiha and Surah. It says here rak'atan. Salatul Eid is made up of 2 units. Fil ula, in the first unit, sab'u takbirat qabla al-qira'ah. We make 7 takbir before reciting al-Fatiha and al-Surah, whichever the Surah we teach. It says wa fi thaniya, يعني وفي الركعة الثانية, on the second rak'ah, 5 كذلك, that is 7 also, or 7 like that. Like what? Like the first. It says 5, 5 like that. The first one, sab'u takbirat. The second one, 5 كذلك. So first rak'ah we say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, before we make qira'ah. On the second rak'ah we make 5 takbirat, also before we make qira'ah. And then he says, rahimahullah, وَيَخْتُبُ بَعْدَهَا, وَيَخْتُبُ بَعْدَهَا. The Imam will make khutbah after salat. After salatul Eid, يَخْتُبُ الْإِمَامِ. The Imam will make khutbah. This is where we'll stop today. Here rak'atan, 2 units of prayer. Salatul Eidain, the prayer of the 2 Eid, or the 2 prayers we make on the 2 Eid. Rak'atan, they are 2 units of prayer. Fil ula, and the first rak'ah, sab'u takbirat. We have 7 takbir qabla al-qira'ah, before we go on to recite al-Fatiha and what? As-Surah. وفي الثانية كذلك, وفي الثانية 5 كذلك. And in the second rak'ah, 5 كذلك. We make 5 takbirat كذلك, like the other one, before qira'ah too. ويخطب بعدها, and after that salah, يخطب الإمام. The Imam will make a khutbah. These are the issues we will discuss today, inshallah. So the first issue is Salatul Eidain. We know what Salah means. So it says Eidain, the 2 Eid. The Salah of the 2 Eid. What does it mean to say Eid? I notice these days that young boys ask you questions you find disturbing. A little young boy can ask us and say, Abu, what does Eid mean? Eid. The Eid means Eid. Or what will we say? Oh, good. We can say Eid means Odun, or Eid means Salah, or Eid means festival. What does Eid mean? In the Arabic language with which the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam was sent, ulama say, kullu yawmin fihi jam'un. Eid is what? Kullu yawmin fihi jam'un. Linguistically. Every day that the people gather, congregate. that day is the day of Eid. Linguistically. Linguistically in Arabic, you can say Al-Yawmu Yawmu Eid. Today is a day of what? The day that people gather. That is why Yawmul Jumu'ah will fall into both linguistically and technically as a day of Eid. Why? It is a day of congregation. So Eid, what does Eid mean? It is what? Kullu yawmin fihi jam'un. Every day that we have congregation of the people, it is referred to as Eid. And that is six. Eid, ulama say, is six from the word Ada. Ya'udu. Ada. He will come back. Or he returned. Ada. He returned. He came back. Or it returned. It came back. Ya'ud. It will come back again. So that's why ulama come back and say, for kullu Eid. That means that every Eid. That word Eid comes from the word that something that comes back. So they say, for kullu Eidin ya'udu bis-sururi wal-farhi. So every Eid comes back again. With what? Bil-farhi was-surur. With a lot of joy and happiness and delightfulness. So the people gather on that day. So Yawmul Eid is the day that the people gather, and that it is a day that their joy and happiness repeats them. Oh. So you're about to say, I say, or how do you say it? That is the meaning of Eid. A day we gather that our joy repeats itself. So we gather today upon joy and happiness and delightfulness. Next year we gather again upon joy and delightfulness and all of that. That day that we gather, celebrating, happy with ourselves. And then that day comes again next year. And then that day comes again next year. And then that day comes again next year. What we do like this qualifies to be what? An Eid. So that is why those who make Mawlid. You see now people add it to their Eidul Mawlid. Because they see it as a day of gathering and joy. Linguistically, yes. But technically in the Sharia, no. First day of Hijrah. People gather out. These days now, people even begin to go to the ground where Salatul Eid is observed. To observe that gathering. All these kinds of gathering are illegal. Why? They have not been approved by the Sharia. In the Sharia, only two Eids are approved. So even though linguistically, yes, those are Eids, but in the Sharia, they must not be taken as Eids. They must not be taken as Eids. So it is not correct to take the day, the first day of Hijrah as Eid. It is not correct to take the day, the Mawlid, even though that day is not established. They say the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was born on the 12th of Rabi'ul Awwal. The reports regarding that are very weak. Very weak. There are no clear-cut reports on the particular date and month. No clear-cut authentic reports on date and month. That's why the khilaf. Some say 10th of Rabi'ul Awwal. Some say 5th of Muharram. Some say. Other days. Some say it was in Ramadan the messenger was born. So there is no clear-cut evidence. What the evidence, the hadith in Sahih Muslim approves is that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was born in Amul Fil, the year of the elephant. The year when the elephants came from Yemen to destroy the Kaaba, and the people of Makkah, the Quraysh, they left the Kaaba. Allah, protect your house. And the owner of the house protected his house. Before the elephants got to the house, Allah destroyed the elephants. That is what we read in what? In Surah Al-Fil. Alam tara kayf. I have been opportune to pass in that valley where that thing happened. The valley where Allah destroyed the field. It's known. It is called Wadi al-Muhassir, between Mina and Muzdalifah. That year we had to trek from Mina to Muzdalifah on our way to Arafah. So we got to Wadi al-Muhassir. Ulama said the Tabi'un, they used to see, some people used to see the feces of that elephant inside the mountain passes in those areas. So when we went, I was looking around. So I told myself, even if you find feces now, it is the feces of one camel that just passed, not that one. The area is called Wadul Muhassir today. The area where Allah destroyed the sea. When you pass in those kinds of areas, the adab is the church calls to mind what Allah did to some people. He walked fast away out of the place. So we did that. Called Wadul Muhassir. So it is established that the year that thing happened was the year the messenger was born, alayhi salatu. But it was 12th of Rabiul Awwal, there is no proof. Even though it is more like a proof that he died on 12th of Rabiul Awwal. That one is nearer authenticity than saying that he was born on 12th of Rabiul Awwal. So it is not allowed to take that kind of a day for an Eid. Likewise, it is not allowed to take the first day of Muharram as a day of Eid. People even go to Eid now to celebrate. So the reason why it will be counted as Eid, and when they take it as a thing of worship, it becomes an innovation. Because he said, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, man ahdatha fi amrina hadha ma laysa minhu wa huwa rad. That is the proof. Someone says, the first day of Hijrah, the day of Eid al-Hijrah, or what would they call it? SubhanAllah. If we say it's an innovation, they say, give me the proof. You say, man ahdatha fi amrina ma laysa minhu wa huwa rad. It was not established. So that is why these two Eids that we are celebrating, they can now put it back at us. Who tells you that you should celebrate Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha or Eid al-Nahr? Who told you to celebrate? So we come back and say the Prophet Muhammad. He is the one who gave us the go-ahead to celebrate those two Eids. Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu, Abu Hamza, reported that قدم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم المدينة. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم arrived in Medina. ولهم يومان يلعبون فيهما في الجاهلية. On those 2 days, the Arabs and the people of Medina had 2 days, يَلْعَبُونَ فِيهِمَا فِي الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ. They used to celebrate, play, enjoy themselves, make festival, make ceremony on those 2 days before the Prophet came. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Those 2 days are Yawmun Nahirun, Yawmun Nayrun, and Al-Maharajan. Someone can ask us in a key, what were the 2 celebrations the people of Medina used to have before the Prophet came? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Yawmun Nayrun and what? Yawmun Maharajan. Maharajan. Nayruz and Maharajan. They were the 2 Eids before the Prophet came. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فَقَالَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. So the Prophet asked them, مَا هَذَانِ الْيَوْمَانِ? What days are those? What are these that you are doing? قَالُوا, they say, those are the days of Eid that we celebrate. Then the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ أَبْدَلَكُمْ بِهِمَا خَيْرًا مِّنْهُمَا. إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ أَبْدَلَكُمْ بِهِمَا خَيْرًا مِّنْهُمَا. Allah has replaced those 2 for you with those things that are what? With 2 that are better than it. Nayrun and Maharajan, Allah has replaced the 2 of them بِخَيْرٍ مِّنْهُمَا, with something better than the 2 of them. And he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, يَوْمَ الْأَضْحَى وَيَوْمَ الْفِطْرِ. What are those things that are better than Nayruz and Al-Mahrajan? يَوْمُ الْأَضْحَى and what? يَوْمُ الْفِطْرِ. Someone asked us, who told you to make Yawm al-Fitr and Yawm al-Adha? The Prophet Muhammad. He said, Allah has replaced those Eids of Jahiliyyah, Nayruz and Al-Mahrajan. Allah has replaced them with what? Yawm al-Adha and what? Yawm al-Fitr. Al-Adha and what? Yawm al-Fitr. This hadith occurs in Sunan Abi Dawud. Al-Imām At-Tirmidhi also reported the hadith. It also occurs in Musnad Imam Ahmad. So the proof that the Eidain, when we say Salatul Eidain, the prayer of the two Eids, when we ask, which two Eids are those? We say Al-Adha and what? Al-Fitr. Who asked you to celebrate Al-Adha and Al-Fitr? We say who? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. So we now turn the question. When we see people celebrating Hijrah, who asked you to celebrate Hijrah? They start finding a justification. You know. I say, no, I don't know. Just tell me. They say, no, actually. Say, no, it's not actually. Just tell me who told you to celebrate. Likewise, other celebrations. One of the scholars who wrote on the matters of Eid, Ahkamul Eidain, fi Sunnatil Mutahhara, Al-Shaykh Ali Hassan Abdul-Hamid Al-Halabi, he said in India, the Muslims of India have 144 Eids. Not non-Muslims. The Muslims of India, they have how many Eids? 144 per year. Meaning almost every 3 days, there's what? There's Eid. Almost every 3 days, there's one kind of Eid. Almost every 3 days, there's one kind of Eid. It is possible that you find something similar to that in our own country. Because you see, they say Maulud, that's how they call it. Shehu Tijani, the Maulid of Shehu Ibrāhīm, the Maulid of Bulala, the Maulid of Lawal, the Maulid of like that. So when you begin to count these Mawalid that they are observing, you find out that, subhanAllah, they are already ayat, they are already Eid. The Shaykh Ali said, in India there are 144 Eid, or ayat, that people make. So it is wrong. All these other ones are wrong. The only two Eids that Allah has approved for His slaves, the Muslims, they are what? Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. And the evidence for that is in that hadith of who? Anas ibn Malik. Allah has replaced that. You don't do that. Make Adha and what? Al-Fitr as your Eid. So when we say Babu Salatil Eidain, which Eidain are we referring to? Al-Adha and what? Al-Nahr. Al-Adha and Al-Fitr. Adha can be Eid al-Nahr, Yawm al-Nahr, or Yawm al-Adha. And then the second one is what? Eid al-Fitr. Before we leave this area, how do we determine Eid in Islam? What is the basic rule to determine Eid? How do we know a day of Eid? How do we know? How do we determine Yawm al-Adha? Yawm al-Adha is what? A day after Arafah. Huh? So if they make Arafah today, the next day is Eid. Answer. Yes. What about the times when they did not used to know the day of Arafah? When people would make Hajj, and nobody will know the day of Arafah until Hujjaj returns. I knew a time like this. When the people did not used to know the day of Eid until Hujjaj. Say, oh, when did you make Arafah? Say, oh, we made Arafah. Oh. Now, which day is the day of Adha? we count the days based on moon cycle, both for Eid and what? Eid al-Adha. Many of the people think that it is only regarding Eid al-Fitr that we sight the moon. We base our celebration on moon cycle. Both Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr are based on what? Sighting of the moon. So whether you know the day of Arafah or not, wherever you are, the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah is Yawmul Nahr. And the 4th day of Shawwal is what? Yawmul Fitr. So who told us that Fitr and Al-Adha should be based on moon cycle? Who told us? He said the determination of Eid al-Fitr is based on what? Moon cycle. The determination of Eid al-Adha is based on what? Moon cycle. Who told us? Yawm al-Nahar is the 10th day. Who told us it should be the 10th? Who told us it should be based on moon sighting? The Prophet Muhammad. Alayhi salatu wassalam. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. He said, Sumu li ru'yatihi. Fast at the time when Islamul waqt. Sumu li ru'yatihi. Fast at the time when you sight the moon. When you sight the moon, let the moon sighting be what determines the time of your starting to fast. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَأَفْطِرُوا لِرُؤْيَتِهِ. Make your iftar. What does making our iftar mean? Eid al-Fitr. Make your iftar لِرُؤْيَتِهِ. Also based on moon sight. You hear Yoruba say, Atishini Lori. Inshallah yo. So, that is Eid al-Shawwal. Eid al-Fitr. The Eid of breaking our fast. The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa aftiru li ru'yati. Break your fast. Make your Eid al-Fitr when you sight the moon also. And then he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wansiku laha. Wansuku laha. Make your nusuk. Make your plot. Also based on what? Moon sight. Sumu li ru'yatihi. Waftiru li ru'yatihi. Wansuku li ru'yatihi. Do we understand? Sumu, start fasting li ru'yatihi. Waftiru li ru'yatihi. Wansuku li ru'yatihi. This hadith occurs in Sunan al-Nasa'i by Al-Imām al-Nasa'i. Children can ask us, what determines our Eid? Moon sight. So whether you know the day that Arafah was or not, the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah Yawm al-Nahr, based on moon sight. The 4th day of Shawwal based on moon sight. The 4th day of Ramadan based on moon sight. One of the wisdom behind making these ayat and most of our celebration based on things we look up onto. I remember one, but I remember the second one. Ulama say it will make us be looking up for remembering Allah. Allah is up. Allah is Sitama. It will make us be looking what? Upward. Looking up unto Allah. What will that benefit us? It will make us understand ikhwa, whether you are in the secret or you are in the open. Allah is up looking at you. Fa'idatun maslakiyatun. The fa'idah, the benefit that has to do with our character, the character-related benefit of knowing that Allah is up above you, looking at you. Ar-Rahmanu ala al-Arsh istawa. Is that whatever you do, wherever you are, Allah sees you. Inna Allah la yakhfa alayhi shay'un fil ardi wa la fis sama. Allah is the one that nothing is hidden from him from anywhere in the heavens and in the earth. He's above all things. So it's looking down at us. So looking up, we want to observe Salatul Fajr now. Where will we look? We look up. Salatul Zuhur, where will we look? Up. So, movement. After Zuhur, Maghrib, Isha, Ramadan, Hajj, will be looking up, up, up. The second benefit with this is that it is simple for everybody to determine. If a man is in a hut, H-U-T, hut, he doesn't know what is happening anywhere in any city, anywhere, no means of communication. Even though it is discouraged for a Muslim to live in a place like this. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, La taskunu al-kafur. La taskunu al-kafur. Do not live in remote areas where there is no life. He says, فَإِنَّ سَاكِنَ الْكَفُورِ كَسَاكِنِ الْكُبُورِ. Because the person living in remote areas is like somebody living inside the grave. Those in the grave don't know what is happening in the earth. Likewise, those in those remote areas, they don't know city life. If you live in city area, you sew your clothes from, if you live in remote area, your tailor will be a remote tailor. Your clothes will be remote clothes. The cap you wear will be the remote cap. When you come into city, the people of city will recognize you that this person. That's how it is. So Allah made our worship not to be determined of city or no city. Just look up in the sky, you determine your worship. So if we have 15 people in a hut now, they can fast, they can make Eid al-Fitr, they can make Eid al-Adha. They can observe, come to Salawat. They can fast Ramadan. They can make zakah because their zakah will be based on the price in food. They will have to count the month to make house, isn't it? They have to make a house. They have even used those things looking at the sky to determine when their crops will begin to grow, when they will harvest them, and all of this. Everybody will be looking up in the sky. And at the same time, as remote as they are, looking up in the sky will remind them of consciousness, will remind them of Allah's presence, and He's looking at them. So they will not do something that Allah does not like in the hidden, but outside they are Shaykh. With the people outside they are Shuyukh. But when they are in the secrets of their privacies, they are the next brothers to Shaitan. May Allah protect all of us. Each of us has to watch that about himself. Don't be a brother to people and a brother to Shaitan inside your privacy. If the people do not see you, doesn't Allah see you? فَإِنْ لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَاهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. So the proof that our Eid should be based on moon sighting is this hadith. سُومُوا لِرُؤْيَتِهِ وَأَفْطِرُوا لِرُؤْيَتِهِ وَانْسُكُوا لَهَا. And then the proof for observing our Eid to be Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha is the hadith of who? Anas. Wherein the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah has replaced those two Eids with two others. And that is al-Adha and what? Al-Fitr. I hope that these points are clear. So, Salatul Eidain, this expression is the Salah we observe because of that congregation. Because of that Eid, the Salah we observe because of that. It's Salatul Eidain. What is the ruling of Salatul Eidain? Is it obligatory to observe Salatul Eidain? Like Salatul Janaza. When people observe Salatul Janaza, the rest of us are free. Even if it is 2 persons observing Janaza. A person dies, only 2 persons go to observe it. The rest of us are free. Is it like that for Salatul Eid? No. Salatul Eid is compulsory on each and every one of us. We are saying this because Al-Imām Ash-Shawkāni did not mention the hukum of Salatul Eid. He did not also define what Eid means. So we have to define what Eid means and the ruling of Salatul Eid. And because we can also be asked, how do we determine Eid? So we thought to give us that by the way. So the ruling of Salatul Eidain is wujub. Salatul Eidain is wajibatun. Salatul Eid. Someone asked, Salatul Eid, is it compulsory? Yes, it's compulsory. On me, everybody, yes. Salatul Eidain is compulsory on every Muslim, male and female. Salatul Eidain is wajibatun ala kulli muslimin. Salatul Eidain is compulsory upon every Muslim, male and female. And this is based on the hadith of a woman called Attibyān. What is Attibyān's real name? Nusayba bint al-Harith. Attibyān is what? Nusayba bint al-Harith. This woman was very knowledgeable amongst the companions. She was very knowledgeable. She used to treat people during battlefields because she would go with the Prophet on battle. When people are ill, she would be treating them as their doctor and nurse. Attibyān. Nusayba. Some say it is Nasiba. I know a brother, he's Abu Nasiba. If you say Abu Nusayba, you say you are correct. But he likes Nasiba, the same name. You can call it Nasiba or what? Nusayba. That thing is sin when it is not sardin. So it is Abu Nasiba or Abu Nusayba, the sin. And the person who answered that name, Nusayba, she's who? Attibyān. She reported, radiyallahu anha, that Amarana Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam commanded us an nukhrijahunna fil fitri wal adha. See those two is coming again. Amarana Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam an nukhrijahunna fil fitri wal adha. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam commanded us to bring all of the women out. All the women, bring them out. Fil fitri wal adha. On Yawm al-Fitr, the day of the Eid of Fitr, and what? Al-Adha. Who are those? Al-Awatiq wal-Huyyam wa Zawat al-Khudur. Al-Awatiq, every matured girl. Every matured young Muslim girl, she must come out. Wal-Huyyam, every menstruating woman must come out. Matured, Awatiq, Al-Huyyam, those women that are menstruating, not those that have reached the age of menstruation. Those ones are referred to as Al-Awatiq. But in this case, a woman can say, I'm menstruating. Wal-Huyyam, come out too. For Salatul Eid. Wa Zawat al-Khudur. And those young girls that are staying behind the screen, the matured girls, women that are in menstruation, and of course, nifas, and those little young girls that they hide under the screen. In those days, when a little young girl is growing up, she's not the bold one to come to men and start talking to them. I'm this, I'm that. She's shy. So she's reserved and preserved. She goes behind it. It is still available in parts of the country, especially in the inner parts of the outer land. You see how little young girls hiding behind it. The veil. Hiding behind the screen. Today, women are themselves snapping themselves and sending the pictures. Where are Zawatul Khudur now? Young girls hiding behind the veil. Where are they? Because they are shy and consciously fearful of Allah, so they keep away from men. Some young Muslim women now want to be the ones delivering the lectures. The brothers should sit and start watching them. How do you come from this category of women? Some young Muslim women now begin to advertise. They are making advertisements now. Young Muslim women. You see, some can even be in niqab. They are making adverts. In our company, we are making matches, we are making twin sticks, we are selling shoes and bags. They make a video of themselves and send it to people. Where is the hub covering you? Where is the hip covering you? Where is the screen veiling you up? If you say your niqab veils your face, does it veil your voice? And you see them moving too, as those girls move. They shake themselves. And they make the voice to be, you know what an advertisement voice is. No woman gives an advertisement with a natural voice. Even men don't do that. If a man is advertising something, his voice will be different from the normal voice with which he speaks ordinarily. And Allah has prohibited women from speaking corporately. He says, if you must be consciously fearful of Allah, don't speak twisting your voice. How does a Muslim woman say she's in veil and she's speaking, trying to advertise something? Who are you? Is this Islam? Is the niqab only to veil your face and not veil your character and your person? The niqab is established to veil your person away from the rest of the people. So if Atiyya were to be around now, will she be forced to bring her out when you are already out on Facebook, advertising to the owner of it, or WhatsApp? And this is what people want to refer to as freedom. Okay, respected and honorable women stay behind their screens. So stay behind your screen. Know yourself. Maintain your limits. No Muslim woman should make herself become an object of advertisement. Even if she's not using a face veil. Respect yourself, please. So Atiyya said, radiyallahu anha, Nusayba bint al-Harith, that amarana Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam an nukhrijahunna fil fitri wal adha. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam commanded us to bring them out on the days of Eid al-Fitri and Eid al-Adha. Who are those? Al-Awatiq wal-Huyyab. Al-Awatiq, matured young Muslim girls, and women who are menstruating, who are inside their menstruation. Wazawati al-Khudur. And those young girls still shy of people hiding behind the screen. All of these, you should bring them out for Salatul Eid. She said, radiyallahu anha, فَأَمَّا الْخُيَّضْ فَيَعْتَزِلْنَ الصَّلَاةِ فَأَمَّا الْخُيَّضْ فَيَعْتَزِلْنَ الصَّلَاةِ. Al-Huyyab, those who are menstruating, يَعْتَزِلْنَ الصَّلَاةِ, they will just stay a bit away from the rest of the congregation. I hope we get this point. All the women, menstruating, non-menstruating, nifas, everybody is on the Eid ground. When we want to observe Salah, those women who are menstruating will stay away. Those women who have postnatal bleeding will just stay away from Musalla, as is in some other reports of this hadith. وَيَشْهَدْنَ الْخَيْرِ. All these groups of women, يَشْهَدْنَ الْخَيْرِ, let them come and witness goodness. وَدَعْوَةَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, and the supplication and invitation and togetherness of the rest of the Muslims. Everybody come out, come and see what we Muslims, we are gathering and enjoying and praising Allah and singing His praises and glorifying Him, all of us together. Let everybody come and be a witness to that. Whether that woman is matured, whether she's inside her menstruation, whether she's in postnatal bleeding, whether she's a little young girl still hiding behind the screen, bring everybody out on the day of Eid. Qultu ya Rasulallah, to make you understand that Atiyya was very knowledgeable. From the attributes of knowledgeable people is that they ask very brilliant questions. You will hear her question, radiyallahu anha. She said, Qultu ya Rasulallah, Ihdana la yakunu laha jilbab. Some of these women you say we should bring us does not have jilbab. We can understand two things from that. The first is that not every woman in the time of the Prophet Muhammad had a jilbab to go out. Ihdana la yakunu laha jilbab. Some of us, la yakunu laha. She wouldn't have a jilbab. Some of us wouldn't have jilbab. Jilbab. A woman who didn't have a jilbab amongst the female companions did not say because she does not have a jilbab, her husband is mad, irresponsible, foolish, idiot, this, that. And some women we want to describe their husbands who are still struggling today. Because there is no responsible man who will leave his wife without a jilbab. So it is struggle. Some men can be struggling so hard and toiling that all they can have is to eat food and feed the children. They can't have enough to provide her a jilbab. And that still does not mean that the woman finds herself outside. Abu, since you can't buy me jilbab, let me be selling pepper by the roadside so that at least I can afford jilbab. These are issues over which women fight their husbands today. But companions, better than every woman you find on the earth today, they didn't make a trouble with their husbands because they didn't have jilbab. At-Tibyān said it, asking the Prophet Muhammad, Ihdana la yakunu laha jilbab. Awako mani jilbab. The second thing we will understand from this question is that the fact that they don't have jilbab, how will they now come out without jilbab? Messenger of Allah. He said everybody should come out. Some of us don't have jilbab. What that also means is that, and that was the answer the messenger gave, when they will go out for their needs, they sometimes borrow jilbab. For if it now happens that today is the day of Eid, everybody must come out, what it means is that those people who don't have jilbab, who will borrow them jilbab? Because today everybody is wearing his or her own jilbab. Her own jilbab. So who will borrow the other women jilbab? So the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, says, لِتُلْبِسْهَا أُخْتُهَا مِنْ جِلْبَابِهَا. لِتُلْبِسْهَا أُخْتُهَا مِنْ جِلْبَابِهَا. Let any of her sisters borrow her from her jilbab. Provide a jilbab for her. Let any one of her sisters provide her jilbab. Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar said, this expression means two things. The first thing, لِتُلْبِسْهَا أُخْتُهَا مِنْ جِلْبَابِهَا, is that a sister who has two jilbabs can borrow the other sister her own. Because today everybody must go out. If you have three, you can two other sisters who don't have. If you have four, because some sisters, each time they sew a cloth, they sew a befitting, quote unquote, jilbab. They say that jilbab matches it. Okay. Some don't have jilbab at all. Borrow her your own on the day of Eid. لِتُلْبِسْهَا أُخْتُهَا مِنْ جِلْبَابِهَا. The second meaning of that, Ibn Hajar said, rahimahullah, let two women go under one jilbab. Let two women go under one jilbab. One of the meanings we derive from that is that the jilbab is not that jilbab that's not big enough. Otherwise, how do two women go under one jilbab and become covered under it? It means that jilbab is not what we are showing now, that you will say, I like this jilbab. Why? It is very, very fit. It's Allah. Jilbab is not fit. It can't be fit. If it was fit at that time, the Prophet wouldn't say two women should go under one. You look at your own jilbab, own sister. Is it sufficient for you alone not to talk of another sister joining you under that jilbab? So it will also tell us men too, when you want to sew jilbab for your wife, don't sew fitting jilbab. Make it big. Sabiqa. Big. You didn't hear what he said? Yudnina alayhinna min jalabibihin. Let them cover. Jilbab is something you cover like this. Yourself, the entirety of your person becomes covered with the jilbab. So the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, no woman must remain at home. Everybody must come out for Eid. He said, Amarana bidhalika Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam commanded us to do that. If you don't have jilbab, borrow jilbab. If the borrowing is not sufficient, two sisters, two women go under one jilbab. So a man has two wives. Maybe one of his wives had a jilbab, the other one does not have jilbab. Can that happen in our case? لِتُلْبِسْهَا أختها من جلبابها. It also shows that one Muslim woman must be kind to her next Muslim woman, to her sister. Be kind to yourself, O women. Be kind to yourself and don't be greedy. If you have 5 jalabis and you have an ummu near your house who is just even managing with one, you can provide her your own. Ummu, please take this jilbab. I give you. لِتُلْبِسْهَا أُخْتُهَا مِنْ جِلْبَابِهَا. Do women even care whether other women have jilbab on the day of Eid? Do sisters care today whether another sister has a jilbab to wear? I was surprised a woman was asking people to gather money so that they can buy jilbab for sisters who don't have jilbab. I read the news, the secular, so to speak. So I thought, I said, this person that I know you very well, you can lend those other sisters from your own. If you have 5 jalabis, you should not be asking people to bring money to buy jilbab for another sister. You give her from your 5. These days, sisters like it. Every little thing they go on WhatsApp, start asking for money. Give me money to feed people. Give me money to buy jilbab for people. Give me money to do this. Why do you turn yourself to a beggar because you want to do sadaqah? Is it a burden on you? Isn't it that sadaqah should be done according to individual ability? Why do you beg people money to give people? You want to give a sister jilbab. You have to beg from people. People you don't know, men and women, give me money. Are you not ashamed to say people should give you money? This is something we should be shy to say. Especially women. So you see women these days, easily they design one thing, design it, they say help the needy. They start calculating it. Who are those behind it? One sister this, one sister that. If that is among women, it's even lesser. When you get good circular, you put your phone number, phone number. Would you have ordinarily given a man your phone number? So why do you give the public your phone number? Because you want to beg money to help people. How important is that begging? How important is that help? Help them as you are able to. If you want to generate funds, make it be amongst your friends. You know 5 sisters. You know them. All you need to do is to phone them. Sister, please, can you give 5,000 for sister? Like, she knows that sister too. That sister needs help. But when you begin to ask people anonymously for people anonymously, and you're a woman, you fix here, you put your name, you put your telephone number. One man one day begins to call you on the phone and say it's evil to you. Who bought that evil for herself? Who do you blame? You blame yourself. Be private, all women, in your affairs. This hadith of Atiyah, we have a reason for citing that hadith. And that is the fact that it proves that Salatul Jum'ah is compulsory. Why? Salatul Eid is compulsory. Why? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam commanded them to bring everybody out. It means if coming out is a command, what? And that must be fulfilled. That which you are going out to observe must also be what? Obligatory. And that's why Imam Ash-Shawkāni rahimahullah, he says, فَالْأَمْرُ بِالْخُرُوجِ يَقْتَدِي الْأَمْرَ بِالصَّلَاةِ. The command to come out, يَقْتَدِي الْأَمْرَ بِالصَّلَاةِ, implies that it is a command to observe that salah. The salah does not need a second obligation. The fact that you are commanded out is evidence that you are also commanded to observe that salah. And that was why those who got exception for that are the menstruating women. He said that وَيَعْتَزِلْنَ الصَّلَاةِ. Those people وَيَعْتَزِلْنَ الْمُصَلَّةِ. They should stay away from the praying place. But for the rest of the women, everybody must come out for Salatul Eid. So the command, come out for Salatul Eid is the same command for Salatul Eid. The command to come out is the command to observe that Salah. If it is obligatory to come out, that for which you are coming out is also obligatory. Because you can't say, okay, we came out, and then you are not observing the Salah. No. The coming out will be useless. So if it is obligatory to come out, and it is obligatory to come out, then it is obligatory to observe that Salah. That's what the A'immah say, rahimahumullah. Al-Imām Ash-Shawkāni says also, rahimahullah, he said, وَمِنَ الْأَدِلَّةِ عَلَى وُجُوبِهَا. Amongst the proofs that show that it is compulsory to observe Salatul Eidain, أَنَّهَا مُسْقِطَةٌ لِلْجُمْعَةِ. Salatul Eid مُسْقِطَةٌ لِوُجُوبِ Salatul Jum'ah. It brings down the compulsoriness of observing Salatul Jum'ah. Do we know this mas'ala? If we observe Salatul Eid, is Salatul Jum'ah compulsory or not? A man who observes Salatul Eid, is it compulsory for him to observe Salatul Jum'ah? No. Or yes? No. What is the proof? The hadith of who? Now, there are about 3 ahadith. Ikhwa, we should be knowing issues with their proofs. The hadith of Abu Huraira is there. The hadith of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan is there. And the third hadith, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the fourth hadith, the hadith of Abdullah ibn Zubayr. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam observed Salatul Jum'ah, Salatul Eid one day. And he told the people, whoever wants to come for Salatul Jum'ah should come. And he said, وَإِنَّا مُجَمِّعُونَ. As for us, we will still be observing Salatul Jum'ah. I walk to Jum'ah and Jum'ah. But as for the rest of you, anybody who wants to come for Jum'ah should come. If Salatul Eid is not compulsory, لَا يُسْكِتُ وُجُوبَ صَلَاةِ الْجُمْعَةِ. It will not bring down Salatul Jum'ah from compulsory to non-compulsory. Something that is not compulsory cannot reduce something that is compulsory to something that is recommended or just allowed and permissible. I hope that this point is clear. It proves that Salatul Eid is what? Compulsory. We have tried to prove that Salatul Eid is compulsory from 2 angles. The first angle is that hadith of who? Aliyy. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam commanded them to bring out all the women. So that command to bring out the women for Salah is the command for Salah. The second way of proving that Salatul Eid is compulsory is that it makes Salatul Jum'ah become non-compulsory. And what is not compulsory cannot make something that is compulsory to become non-compulsory. I hope that this point is clear. Was why Al-Imām Ash-Shawkāni says, rahimahullah, min al-adillati ala wujubiha annaha musqitatun lil-jum'ah. Salatul Eid brings down the ruling of Salatul Jum'ah. Is that tafaqa, when the Jum'ah and the Eid come on the same day, fi yawmin wahid. He says, وَمَا لَيْسَ بِوَاجِبٍ, and something that is not compulsory, لَا يُسْكِتُ مَا كَانَ وَاجِبًا. It will not bring down something that is compulsory. I hope that this point is clear. This statement of Al-Imām Ash-Shawkāni occurs in Layl al-Awsat. So Salatul Eidain are compulsory. Ìrùnjọ́ ìdí ọ̀ràn yẹn ni. Dole ìwà ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ni kéèyàn ó má lọ ìdí. One of the implications of saying that something is compulsory is that not to do it is a sin. Ìwà ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ni not to go for it. It's an act of sin not to go for it. Why? Because Salatul Eid is compulsory. What makes it compulsory? The hadith of Aliyy. And the fact that on the day of Eid, if it occurs as the day of Jum'ah also, observation of Eid brings down the ruling of Salatul Jum'ah. And something that is not compulsory cannot bring down something that is compulsory. Something that is compulsory can only bring down another something that is compulsory. I hope that the matter is clear. So we come back to our book. So we now know when we say Salatul Eidain, we know the 2 Eids we are talking about. What are those? Eid al-Fitri and Eid al-Adha. Who told us that our 2 Eids must only be Eid Fitr and Al-Adha? The Prophet Muhammad. Who approved it for us? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was the one who approved Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. How do we determine Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha? Through moon cycle. Eid al-Fitr is the 1st day of Shawwal, while Eid al-Adha is the 10th day of Dhul-Hijjah. Do we have a proof from that? From the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We do have. What is the ruling of Salatul Eid? Wajiba. What is the proof of that? The hadith of Atiyān and the fact that Mala يكن ما لم يكن واجبا لا يسقط واجبا لا يسقط ما كان واجبا. Something that's not compulsory cannot bring down something that is compulsory. And Salatul Eid brings down Salatul Jummah. I hope that these points are clear. So Al-Imām Ash-Shawkāni says, Hiya rak'atan. Salatul Eidain is rak'atan. Our children can ask us, Abu, why do we observe 2 rakat on the day of Eid? What will we say? The proof for this occurs in the Sunnah and it occurs in Al-Ijma', consensus. The proof that Salatul Eid is 2 rakat is established in Hadith and it's also established what? Ijma', consensus. The fact that Salatul Jummah is compulsory is established from where? Salatul Jummah is compulsory, Abi? Or is it not compulsory? How is it established? From the Quran, from Sunnah, and from what? And from Ijma. So Salatul Eid, Salatul Jummah is rakatan. How is it established? From Sunnah and Ijma. Salatul Jummah, 2 rakat. Who told us to make Jummah 2 rakat? Sunnah and consensus. So the same question. Who told us to observe Salatul Eid as 2 rakat? Sunnah and what? Consensus. Ikhwa, we have to learn how to prove our point because the world is changing. And it has in fact changed fast. The reason is that people are saying so many things. So you must know the proof for what you are saying. That is when you really know it. What is the proof that Salatul Eid must be 2 rakat? There's hadith. And then there's what? Ijma. Very important. In our generation today. And this is the way we'll be teaching the children fiqh. Those days where you say, just wash your head. Oh, just perform, it has gone. The world is more challenging now. Everybody must be able to prove what he's doing now. You must be able to ascertain your points now. Salatul Eid 2 rakat. Who told you to do 2 rakat? If a man comes and says, no, me, I don't want 2 rakat. I want 4 rakat. How do you tell him that what he has done is wrong? He said, because 4 rakat has not been approved by the Prophet Muhammad. And nobody in this ummah has ever observed 4 rakat of Salatul Eid. Has the case closed or not? Case closed. So the fact that Salatul Eid is of 2 rakat is established in the Sunnah. It's also established by Ijma'. Umar radiallahu anhu reported the hadith. He said radiallahu anhu, Salatul Jum'ati rakatan. Salatul Jum'ati rakatan. Salatul Fitri rakatan. Salatul Adha rakatan. وصلاة الفطر ركعتان تمام غير قصر على لسان محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام. Umar said رضي الله عنه صلاة الجمعة ركعتان. صلاة الجمعة must be 2 ركعات وصلاة الفطر ركعتان. Likewise صلاة الفطر صلاة عيد الفطر is what? ركعتان وصلاة الأضحى ركعتان. Likewise صلاة الأضحى is ركعتان وصلاة القصر أو صلاة السفر ركعتان. The salah of the traveling person is also 2 rak'ahs. These rak'ahs, they are not shortened though. It says it is what? Tamamun Gayru Qasrin. They are complete like that. Like Salatul Fajr is 2 rak'ahs. It's complete like that. Likewise Salatul Eid is 2 rak'ahs. Likewise Salatul Jummah is 2 rak'ahs. Likewise Salatul Safari, Zuhr, Asr, Isha, 2 rak'ahs. Tamamun Gayru Qasri. They are complete like that. It is not a reduction. They are complete. Ala lisani Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Upon the tongue of who? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is evidence that in the Sunnah, Salatul Eid must be how many rak'ahs? This hadith occurs in Sunan Ibn Majah, Sunan al-Nasa'i, Imam Ahmad reported it. Al-Imām Ibn Khuzaymah also reported this hadith of Umar radiallahu anhu. Likewise, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, Anna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, kharaja yawm al-Adha aw Fitri. He came out on one day of either Adha or Fitr, فَصَلَّى رَكَعَتَيْنِ. And he observed how many rak'at? Rak'atan. He only observed two rak'at, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Two rak'at. Apart from the statements of Umar, we also have the Prophet's action being described to have observed two rak'at. This hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas occurs in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. It says, أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم خرج يوم الأضحى. He went out on the day of Eid al-Adha or Fitr, or the day of Eid al-Fitr. فصلى ركعتين. The Prophet thereupon observed 2 units of prayer. That is Sunnah, 2 hadith. The second thing that proves Salatul Eid must be 2 rak'at is ijma'. Al-Imam al-Nawawi said, rahimahullah, Salatul Eid rak'atani bil ijma'. Salatul Eid rak'atan kayf bil ijma'. The prayer of the Eid is 2 rak'at by ijma'. Likewise, Al-Imam Ibn Hazm, he also cited ijma' in his book Maratib al-Ijma'. Likewise, Al-Imam Ibn Qudama, he also cited al-Ijma'. The reason we say those who cite ijma', they can ask you, who told you there is a consensus? Imam al-Nawawi said there is consensus. Ibn Qudama said there is consensus. Ibn Hazm al-Andalusi says there is consensus. I'm not the one saying there is consensus. These ai*imma say there is consensus. So there is consensus. Rahimahumullah. The fact that Salatul Eid is of 2 rak'at is established by Sunnah and consensus. Al-Imam Ibn Qudama said, لا خلاف بين أهل العلم في أن صلاة العيد مع الإمام ركعتان. There is no difference of opinion بين أهل العلم among the people of knowledge في أن صلاة العيد regarding the fact that the Salah of Eid مع الإمام ركعتان, along with the Imam must be 2 rak'at. وَفِيمَا تَوَاتَرَ مِنْ النَّبِيِّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. And from what has been tremendously reported from the Prophet Muhammad is that أَنَّهُ صَلَّى الْعِيدَ رَكَعَتَيْنِ, that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم observed Salatul Eid in 2 rak'at. وَفَعَلَهُ الْأَئِمَّةُ بَعْدَهُ إِلَى عَصْرِنَا. And the ai*imma have also been doing that from his time up to our own generation. لَمْ نَعْلَمْ أَحَدًا فَعَلَ غَيْرَ ذَلِكَ. We have not known anybody coming out to observe any more than 2 rak'at for Salatul Eid. So Salatul Eid is established, how many rak'at? 2 rak'at. By Sunnah and by what? By Ijma'. So we say, Babu Salatul Eidain. The Imam Ash-Shawkāni says, here rak'atan. We have known the proof now. Here rak'atan. Fil ula, in the first of these 2 rak'at, sab'u takbirat. We are going to make takbir 7 times. Qabla al-qira'ah, before we recite. So Salatul Eid, the Imam comes to the praying ground. He just goes and says, Allahu Akbar. Everybody says, Allahu Akbar. That is takbiratul ihram. So how many takbirat are remaining? 7 takbirat. So along with takbiratul ihram, how many will those 4 takbirat be? 8. But don't say 8. When you start the salah, you start it with takbiratul ihram. Allahu Akbar. This takbiratul ihram is ruknun min arkani salah. Do you remember? Then he starts saying, Allahu Akbar. You say, Allahu Akbar. Say, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. He says, Allahu Akbar. We say, Allahu Akbar. He says, Allahu Akbar. We say, Allahu Akbar. How many are those? 4 now. He says, Allahu Akbar. Others say, every one of us, we say, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. 5. Allahu Akbar. Everybody. Allahu Akbar. Everybody says it. 6. Says Allahu Akbar. Everybody starts saying Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. How many are those? Then he says Isti'aza. A'udhu billahi as-sami'il 'alim min ash-shaytan ar-rajim min hamzihi wa nafthihi wa nafthihi. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Before we proceed, why does he have to say Isti'aza? Because it is compulsory upon a verse of the Quran that whenever we want to read the Quran, what must we do? Isti'aza. We must make Isti'aza. According to many of the scholars, wujuban, compulsory. So after those takbirah, it says, A'udhu billahi minash shaytan ar-rajim min hamzihi wa nafthihi wa nafthihi. Bismillah. Why do you say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim? Because Surah Al-Fatiha is not complete without Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It is the first verse of Surah Al-Fatiha. Then what next do we do? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. The Imam reads aloud. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. If you hear one Imam saying, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahmanir Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin, he has khalafa sunnah. What is the sunnah? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen ayatan, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim ayatan, Maliki Yawmiddin, one after the other. We mentioned all these when we discussed Sifatu Salatin Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So the point we sought to establish there is that after the first takbir, Takbiratul Ihram, what will he do? He says, Fil Ula Sabu Takbirat. He has 7 takbirat Qabla al-Qira'ah, before he begins to recite. Wa Fi Thaniyati, when he's now standing up on the second rak'ah, what will he stand up with from sujood? Takbiratul intiqal. Allahu Akbar, and he stands up. Go. When he stands up, after that, what will he do? Allahu Akbar. Everybody says Allahu Akbar. Says Allahu Akbar again. Everybody says Allahu Akbar. Then he says Allahu Akbar again. Everybody says their own. He says Allahu Akbar again. Every person says his or her own. How many have he said? Then he says Allahu Akbar. Everybody says Allahu Akbar. How many is that? Then he says A'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim min hamzihi wa nafthihi. Why does he need to say the other again? He wants to recite Quran again. How about Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim? Because plus Fatiha. So he starts as he started in the first rak'ah. That was what the Prophet told the one who heard in his salah. He said he should repeat what he said in the first rak'ah. It is the second evidence for isti'aza. So you make isti'aza. A'udhu billahi as-sami'il 'alim min ash-shaytan ar-rajim min hamzihi wa nafthihi wa nafthihi. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahmanir Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin, to the end. After that he reads the surah. We are coming back to that. But the point here is that after Takbiratul Ihram, before Qira'ah, how many takbirat will he make? 7. When he stands up for the second rak'ah, before he begins to make Qira'ah, how many takbirat will he make? 5. Brother, know it, because you don't know where you find yourself tomorrow. Wallahi, you can find yourself where you will be the one to lead the people in Salah to eat. Maybe you call. Like one of our brothers where we did youth service. He found himself somewhere around Enugu. He was Shaykh there, Shaykh. One Muslim died there. They told him, Malam, there is somebody who died. Tomorrow there is janaza. That brother did not sleep in that town. He ran away. Now, while we were in Abuja, I remember one of our brothers, Abdur-Raūf, used to say, may Allah forgive him. That brother was working with INEC. There was an election, the second election of Obasanjo. He was working with INEC. They were counting votes on that Sunday. He went to his house. He was living in Maitama. It's not a far away place. He was a big boy, quote unquote. He was coming out of his junction. A vehicle was running. It hit this brother. This brother's vehicle went to hit a wall. The brother's head. May Allah forgive him. You know, American embassy, they took the brother straight to INEC. His ID card was on his neck. He only came to eat food and go back. And Allah said his time was up. Do we understand this case? He wasn't sick. He left his house after food. Returning to the office to count election. He passed away on the road, not having prepared for death. May Allah forgive this brother, because he was such a nice brother. I'm seeing him as I talk now. So the brother too, one day after all the ceremony, he has to be there. You know, there will be a lot of paperwork. INEC staff on job. He has even his INEC ID card, da. So they came to me in the night and say, oh, Abu Nāsir, there is janaza, Say, okay, tomorrow morning. So I called 3 brothers who will wash the brother with me. Huge brother, anybody who knew this one. Tall, huge, big. So I encouraged 3 brothers to be with me. Other than me, okay, we have to fight. I was the 6th person leading the group of those to do the funeral washing for this brother. May Allah forgive him. Ikhwa, we got to the hospital, I think somewhere in zone 4 or what, zone 2 or zone whatever, in Abuja. When they opened this brother's corpse and put the corpse to us, I remember myself and the other brother that we washed the corpse together. Out of 6 of us, brothers ran away. He ran. They ran away. They ran out of the place. So the one who waited, you saw him shivering. So I took him out. I held his hand. I took him out. I started talking to him. I started boosting his morale. Started talking to him. He found some courage to come along with me. So that was how myself and that brother washed the corpse of that brother who passed. Out of 6 of us, 6 volunteers, brothers with Bia. They stuck up, they ran away. Okay. Imagine that it is the person who knows about it, that ran away. You who don't know much, you remain. Will you be able to do it alone? So you see the reason why everybody must know it. Imagine that 2 brothers are traveling. There was an accident. One of them died, everywhere got scattered. What will the second brother do? You don't know how to arrange a corpse. You don't know Salatul Janaza. What will you do? What will you do? So don't say I'm not scholar, I'm not preparing to be scholar. It does not need to be a scholar thing for you to know it. Likewise, you don't need to be a scholar to know Salatul Eidain. Know Salatul Eidain. Okay. You came to Eid for Salatul Eidain. They had finished Salatul Eid. What did you do? You, your family, you are a big Siena. Say, Labbaik, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Walillahi alhamd. Or what do you say? What do you say on the day of Eid? Some people used to say, Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah al-Azim. Yes, Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. But don't say it when you are coming to Eid. What do you say? Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar. Walillahi alhamd. Teach your children this. So you are driving Siena. Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. The whole house. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Walillahi alhamd. You got to eat ground. Imam just say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Will you make you turn and see shouting, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar? No. What will you do? You come down, all of you. You arrange and observe Salatul Eid. If you go back home, you can observe it in front of your house. Ikhwa. We are coming back to it. But if it happens, you observe it right there, or you do what? Go back home and observe it in front of your house. Let everybody be saying it. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Your Jama'ah. If you have one wife and two children, what will you do? Jama'ah nani. You arrange Abdullah and Abdur-Rahman behind you. If you have one Abdullah, one Maryam, how will you observe? Maryam will stay with her mother. Abdullah will stay with you. Perform it. Perform it. Pray your own. We'll come back to it, inshallah. But what we need now is that there are 7 takbirat in the first rak'ah, and how many takbirat in the second rak'ah? 5. What is the proof for that? The hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As. Abi, you have forgotten that we must prove it. رضي الله عنهما أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم كبر يوم الفطر في الركعة الأولى 7. كبر يوم الفطر في الركعة الأولى كم؟ 7. كبر يوم الفطر في الركعة الأولى 7. ثم قرأ. You see now it says قبل القراءة. After the qira'ah, ثم قرأ. Then the Prophet recited Quran, Fatiha, and Surah. So they can ask you, what is the proof that those takbirat must come before qira'ah? You say the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Kabbara thumma qara'a. He made those takbirat. And then after it, he read his recitation. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam. He says, فَكَبَّرَ ثُمَّ قَرَأَ. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa sallam recited the Quran. فَكَبَّرَ تَكْبِيرَةَ الرُّكُوعِ. After that, he made the takbirah of what? Ruku. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He says, ثُمَّ كَبَّرَ فِي الْأُخْرَى. Likewise, he made takbir in the last rak'ah. 5 times. ثُمَّ قَرَأَ. And then he made his recitation. ثُمَّ كَبَّرَ ثُمَّ رَكَعَ. Then he made takbir and then made ruku. Do we understand this point? So in the first rak'ah, how many takbirat? 7. In the second rak'ah, how many takbirat? 5. These 7 and the 5 are away from takbiratul ihram and takbiratul intiqal. I hope that the matter is clear. Al-Imam Ibn Hajar, this hadith occurs in Musnad Ahmad. Al-Imam Abu Dawud also reported it. And Ibn Majah also reported it in his Sunan. Al-Hafiz Ibn Hajar rahimahullah has mentioned that the hadith is authentic. Likewise, Al-Imam al-Bukhari was cited to have mentioned the hadith authentic. Al-Imam Ibn al-Munzir in his book Al-Awsat also depended on the hadith. There is also a similar hadith from Aisha radiyallahu anha regarding the same issue, 7 and 5. There is also the hadith of Abu Hurairah regarding the same issue, 7 and 5. There is also the hadith of Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, Abdullah ibn Umar, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, Abdullah ibn Abbas. All these people reported how many takbirat? 7 and what? And 5. Rahimahumullah. Al-Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, while explaining this issue, says, وَأَمَّا التَّكْبِيرُ فِي الصَّلَاةِ. As for the takbir regarding Salatul Eid, فَيُكَبِّرُ الْمَأْمُومُ تَبَعًا لِلْإِمَامِ. The ma'mum, those of us behind the imam, will make those takbirat following the imam. وَأَكْثَرُ الصُّحَابَةِ. And the large majority of the Sahaba وَالْأَئِمَّةِ and the A'imma يُكَبِّرُونَ سَبْعًا فِي الْأُولَى. They will make the takbir, 7 of them in the first rak'ah, وَخَمْسًا فِي الثَّانِيَةِ. And they will make 5 takbirat in the second rak'ah. Al-Imam al-Baghawi makes similar assertion in his book Sharh al-Sunnah. and others amongst the A'immah. That statement of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah that we read, it occurs in his Majmu' Fatawa, volume 24, page 220. That's a question we can ask. What if a person just observes 2 rakats without those takbirat? Does he have salah? Is this question a valid question? Is it valid? Does he have salah in case he leaves out those takbirat? Is his salatul Eid valid? Al-Imām Ash-Shāfi'ī rahimahullah answers this question. He says, وَلَوْ تَرَكَ التَّكْبِيرَاتِ السَّبْعِ وَالْخَمْسِ وَلَوْ تَرَكَ التَّكْبِيرَاتِ السَّبْعَ وَالْخَمْسِ عَامِدًا أَوْ نَاسِيًا لَمْ يَكُنْ عَلَيْهِ إِعَادَةٌ. Even if he leaves these takbirat knowingly or forgetfully, لَمْ يَكُنْ عَلَيْهِ إِعَادَةٌ. He does not have the obligation of repeating the Salatul Eid. وَلَا سُجُودَ السَّهْوِ. Likewise, لَا سُجُودَ سَهْوٍ عَلَيْهِ. There is no sujood sahwi on him. So notice, a person errs in making takbirat. There is no sujood sahwi for Salatul Eid because he left takbirat. Those takbirat, leaving them does not necessitate sujood sahwi. لأنه ذكر, because it is zikr. لا يفسد تركه الصلاة. لا يفسد تركه, leaving it, لا يفسد الصلاة, does not nullify the salah. وأنه ليس عملا يوجب سجود السهو. And to these takbirat, they are not an action that necessitates that if a person leaves them, he has to observe sujood al-sahwi. Who said so? Al-Imām Ash-Shawkāni rahimahullah. There's another question to ask about these takbirat. Should we raise our hands like takbirat al-ihram takbirat? The ulama say, لم يصح عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه كان يرفع يديه مع تكبيرات العيد. That from the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه كان يرفع يديه مع تكبيرات العيد. That he used to observe, or he would raise his hand to test the takbirat of Eid. If you find someone who does them, is there a hadith? But it is cited of Umar and his son Abdullah. But ulama say those 2 reports are weak. So just tell the person you find, raise his hand, Allah, 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 like that. Brother, is there hadith? He say yes, yes, yes. Is this sahih? He will keep quiet. Or he will not keep quiet. So there is no authentic. Ulama say there is no authentic hadith regarding that. One of those who said that was Shaykh Muhammad Nāsir. So that you don't say Abu Nāsir said there is no hadith. And Shaykh Albani said it, rahimahullah, not me. And Shaykh Ali al-Halabi also said it too. That there is no authentic proof to say that the Prophet would raise his hand in during each of the takbir. There's another question. In between each takbir, what is the zikr to say? Someone says, Allahu Akbar, and starts the salah. Next is Allahu Akbar. In between one takbir and the other, is there a zikr? There is no authentic statement from the Prophet Muhammad. So what is safe for you? When you say Allahu Akbar, and then you start those 7 Allahu Akbar, in between one takbir and the other, there is no proof to be saying anything. Keep quiet. Keep quiet. I think we should stop here. Let us stop here. Let us stop here, inshallah. But are these matters clear? Alhamdulillah. You will see. The way you will observe your salat on Eid al-Adha will be different from the way you have observed Eid al-Fitr. You will be conscious. I know there is only 7. In fact, those 7, there is hadith of Aisha, there is hadith of Abu Hurairah, there is hadith of thinking about it. It means you are acting based on full knowledge. Someone says, between those that they say, are you raising your hand? Say no, you don't need to. Why are you not raising your hand? There is no proof from the Prophet. Is there a zikr to say no? Why is there no proof? But I tell you, if you didn't get clear-cut explanation, your mind can say, what do you say? If you have someone saying Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Wala ilaha illallah, Wala Akbar, and he has beard, you say, maybe there's hadith. You don't know that he's not following, he's not doing his own. But if you hear anybody doing that now, what will you say after Salah? You have to have that's what you are saying. Where did you see it? Who taught you to say that? So it is very good to do something based on clear knowledge. May Allah forgive all of us. 1, 2, 3 questions so that we can go. Now, Abdur-Rahman. So make 7 takbir. The Imam forgets 7 takbirat in the first rak'ah, but he remembers in the second rak'ah. How many takbirat will he make in the second rak'ah? Do you know the young boy is thinking? Bismillah. Maybe he will combine those. He should proceed with his salah. It is not something he has to go back to. That is one of the things we understand from that statement of who? Imam Shafi. If he forgets, no problem, proceed. Do you understand? So he will only, in the second rak'ah, make how many takbirat? 5. Those ones he forgot, Laba. Continue. Alaykum salam. I like that. I mean one there. We had discussed that, I think, when we were discussing Salatul Jum'ah. If a person does not observe Salatul Jum'ah on the day that Eid coincides with Jum'ah, and he has observed Salatul Eid, will he observe Salatul Zuhr or not? We discussed this matter. We just talked about it and let it go. Let's not go back to it. Alaykum salam. Amin. He should observe Jum'ah. He should observe. If he does not observe Jum'ah, let him observe Jum'ah or observe Zuhur. There are issues around this issue. It will take us a long discussion. It's the reason I'm setting it aside. And we have discussed this one. Alaykum salam. Dua al-Istiftah. No, it's not deliberate. Dua al-Istiftah after Takbiratul Ihram. If you make Takbiratul Ihram, Allahu Akbar, what do you start with? Dua al-Istiftah. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika. Because it's Salat. La ilaha illa anta. Allahumma ba'id bayni wa bayna khatayaya. Then after that, you begin to say your Takbirat. Allahu Akbar. 7 times. Is it clear? Alaykum salam. Amin wa ilayk. Amin. تقول أي مسألة تكبيرات العيدين في أي سند من أسانيدها لأننا ذكرنا الآن أن الحديث رواه عبد الله بن عمرو بن العاص له حديثه وكذا عائشة رضي الله عنها كذا جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري كل هذه الأسانيد فيه ابن لهيئة كلها لا ليس أنا أعرفه وقد درسته لذلك إذا درست هذا الحديث مما حققه الشيخ الألباني في إرواء الغليل ترى أنه يحسنه، ولذلك ذكرت من اعتمده من أهل العلم. وشيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية يذكر أن أكثر وجل الصحابة يكبرون 7 و5 في الأولى والثانية. لماذا؟ من أين هو وجده؟ ومن أين وجد الصحابة التكبيرات 7 و5؟ فهمت؟ فكل هذا يقوي الحديث أن في الأولى نكبر 7 وفي الثانية نكبر 5. فهمت؟ أخذت جوابك؟ الآن اقتنعت بالجواب؟ أجبت عن الأحاديث هذا الذي تقول. هذه الأحاديث حتى لو كانوا كلها فيها ما يقال في كل سند من أسانيد كل واحد من الأحاديث مقال، بمجموعها يتقوى وترتقي إلى درجة الحسن. ولذلك ذكرت لك أن الصحابة كانوا يفعلون ذلك. أما رأيت معي أننا نقوي حديثا ضعيفا بفعل اشتهر عن الصحابة؟ لا ترى ذلك؟ لا ترى ذلك؟ ترى ذلك؟ Let me say what you are talking about. There are those amongst ulama who say, and truly so, and I can mention some of them. Amongst them, Sheikh Mustafa Al-Adawi. One of his students had a very lengthy writing on this hadith he's talking about, where he went on to gather the asanid of these ahadith that talk about 5 takbirat and 7 takbirat and 5 takbirat. And he tried to point out that each of these hadith has some sort of weakness in it. But he said each of these asanid has Abdullah ibn Lahia, and it is not so. If I remember, Abdullah ibn Lahia only occurs in the riwayah of Aisha. And this is hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. There's a riwayah of Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari. There's a riwayah of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. There's a riwayah of Abdullah ibn Umar. All of these were reporting the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam make 7 and 5, 7 and 5, 7 and 5. That is why those long ago, Al-Imām Ibn al-Munzir in his book Al-Awsat, he mentioned this statement. Yet it still depended on that hadith that the sunnah is for us to make 7 and 5. This kind of a thing will not be popular amongst the companions, except that was what the Prophet used to do. After him, long after, Ibn Taymiyyah came and said, oh, what is common from all the companions is that they make 7 and then they make 5. Someone talks about the hadith has an issue. Okay, how do you perform salat to eat? How? So that's why sometimes people talk about masail, especially hadithiyah. And what they say will prove that they don't appear to know much about what they say. Sorry, but that is the truth. One of the ways that the ulama verify a hadith is that when a hadith, even if it has a rawi, a reporter, they say it's da'if, and his da'af is min nahiyat al-hifz. If they find another da'if, also min nahiyat al-hifz, this will affirm what this one says. And that they say a rawi is da'if does not mean that huwa da'ifun fi kulli halin wa waqtin. ضعيف حتى الكذاب ليس بكذاب في كل وقت وحين. If they say one reporter is كذاب, he lies in his report. It does not mean that every single report you find him reporting, he has lied in it. That regarding this, there's evidence from the Prophet Muhammad. In the hadith of Abu Hurairah, Muttafaqun alayh, when Abu Hurairah was placed in charge of Zakatul Fitr, some says Zakat generally. Shaitan would come, he will steal from it. Abu Hurairah will catch him. He will beg to go. He will leave him. On the third day, don't report me to the Prophet sallallahu. I will teach you something. And he told Abu Hurairah that before you sleep, if you recite Ayatul Kursi, no shaitan will come near you. He said, are you sure? Yes. Are you sure? I will ask the Prophet sallallahu. He left him to go. Abu Hurairah went to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and narrated the story. On the fourth occasion, the Prophet told him that he will come back again. He's a liar. And he did come back. On the second, he said, he will come back. And he came back. So when he told him about Ayatul Kursi, what did the Prophet say? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, "Sadaqaka wa huwa kazub." He has told you the truth here, even though he's a blunt liar. Likewise, those who lie regarding the ahadith of the Prophet Muhammad, we can find a hadith that is sahih, that they will report, that will confirm that in this hadith they have not lied. Do you understand? A liar will report a hadith. Like, Man kadhaba alayya muta'ammidan falyatabawwa maq'adahu minan nar. And you find a kazab reporting this hadith. Has he lied in this hadith? You can say that is using an authentic hadith to verify a weak hadith. Shows that weak hadith is authentic. Why are you not talking about using a weak to confirm weak? Does that one have evidence in Kitab and Sunnah? Say yes, it has evidence that a weak hadith can combine with another weak hadith to make an authentic hadith. It even occurs in the Quran. In At-Tibyān, what did Allah say regarding the woman? أَن تَضِلَّ إِحْدَاهُمَا فَتُذَكِّرَ إِحْدَاهُمَا الْأُخْرَى. He said when a man makes the proof, what does he say? One man, two men. But as regarding the women, for every place where you find a man, what do you find? Two women. Allah gave us the reason. Perhaps one of them will forget. Those who forget their reports are the du'afa'u now. This one who forgets will be reminded by who? Al-Ukhra, the other one who didn't forget. But the two of them forget in their nature, basically. So if you find two people who forget, they can come together to make the witness of one single person who hardly forgets. One of the most difficult areas in the science of hadith is taqwiyatul ahadith. Combining reports to know whether they can be hasan or sahih, or hasan al-ghayri or hasan al-dhati. This area of taqwiyah, al-mutaba'at wa shawahid wa dirasatuha, is a very big area in the science of hadith. Unfortunately, that's where people usually jump into. It's a very big area. You can look for نظرية الاعتبار عند المحدثين by Shaykh Ahmad Mahmoud, I think, and it was affirmed by Dr. Bashar Awad Maruf. It's about 350 pages about these kinds of issues. You find good sufficiency, inshallah. What we are saying is that those reports, even if they say each of them, but even though this hadith of Abdullah ibn Abdur-Raūf that we read 7 and 5, many of the scholars have sanuhu li dhatihi. Lakin ma dhalik, if a person comes and says, oh, there's an issue here, there's an issue. All these reports, the report of Aisha, the report of Jabir, the report of Ibn Umar, the report of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, the report of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, and then from the actions of many of the Sahaba, this is what they do. It will tell us that that hadith has some sort of action. It has a basis. It is something that we can depend on somewhat somehow. It's the reason why the Ummah has been upon it since this year. That's why we will ask anyone who says, no, me, I don't want. We ask, how were you performing your Salatul Eid? Allahu Akbar. نعم استمر الآن. أستمع إليك. أنت كل كلامك انتهى كلامك. عليكم السلام. The last question for today. I mean, many times we wouldn't need to come and start trying to prove the hadith here. In these kinds of that. except when it is absolutely necessary. Love. Now, I mean, Imam Shafi'i made his statement occurs in in his book Al-Umm. He has a book of fiqh called Al-Umm. It goes to Kitab al-Iyyan. Unfortunately, I didn't start volume. I just said Al-Umm. I proceeded. Last page. Five takbirat. What is the proof for that? Allahu Akbar. Anyway, we'll discuss issues like that on other classes. Otherwise, we leave it at other times. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك